Hello ladies, it's another beautiful day here in my living room. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the 6 movements of the spine. And today, instead of doing it in just a regular seated position, we're going to take it one step further and go to bound angle. So there's just other things that we can add in this position. So for this small class, you'll just need a blanket. I've got a beach towel here. This works just fine. And I have 2 blocks. So the 6 movements of the spine and our bound angle pose. So we'll start with our blanket. So I'm folding mine so that it's rather thick, and then I'm going to sit this underneath of my sits bones. So I'll bring myself a little further back on my mat so that whenever I bring my ankles and my soles of my feet together, I'm going to have my ankles on my mat best I can. So it just helps with a little extra cushion. So I'm going to bring myself onto my blanket. So again, those sits bones right on the edge of that blanket, and bring the soles of your feet together. And we'll just start here. So just find your way, and let's go ahead, let's get our blocks ready, because we'll have one on either side of us just so that they're already there when we're ready. And we'll find ourselves sitting up tall and just kind of starting here, checking in. So how you feel. And again, my heels are kind of far away from me, so not as far as they can get, but not up in close. That's a different pose for us. This one we want a little bit more wiggle room. So we're going to find ourselves tall from here. So draw that height up from those sits bones. Kind of get everything nice and stacked. Hands can rest wherever's comfortable for you. You can, if you'd like, if this is kind of challenging today, maybe take those blocks underneath of those thighs. It just kind of helps you to sit comfortably just while we're breathing. And we'll just close our eyes. And you can have hands resting to the tops of your thighs. If you'd rather have hands to your belly, I encourage it, just because it can kind of help us to check in a little bit. Check in with baby, check in with our bodies. And just kind of notice how the breath feels in our body. And notice how the belly rises and falls with our breath. And start to let the stress of your day just lift off of your shoulders. So when you take this next exhale, really draw them down, because they're so much lighter now that you've decided to let that weight lift off of them. So they're nice and relaxed. And letting go of your day, letting go of your responsibilities, and just being this mama on this mat with this breath. And we'll take just one moment before we really begin our practice just to be grateful. So thank you, body, for all the work that you're doing in creating this beautiful life. But take a moment, thank yourself for taking time out of your day to nourish your body. We'll start to bring our hands back to our legs. Let's shift these blocks out from under us for a moment so that they're there at the side. And let's just kind of take and kind of shift the weight from side to side. So just find some movement here that feels good. So you can also, if this kind of side to side isn't doing much for you, you can also try and watch, because I just kind of slid off my blanket a little bit. Watch and try to find some circles here. So we just take ourselves and make little circles here. So those front to back, side to side movements. And you can get into it as much as you choose. So you can really round and shift back, and you can really fold forward if you'd like as you shift forward. And just find what feels good here. So if you find a spot, so I have a tight place here in this hip, so I'm going to pause right here on this side. Just kind of take a little bit of weight on that one particular spot, kind of wiggle around, try to open it up real slow. We don't ever work towards pain, but we kind of work towards a little bit of discomfort. So that discomfort feeling is what I would consider a stretch. So you definitely notice it probably in forward folds, in the backs of your legs especially, when you're trying to reach down for your toes perhaps. But we never work towards pain. So pain is a sharp feeling. So we never work towards pain. We just kind of ease into discomfort because in the long run it feels good. So we'll pause. So we'll come back up to that seated position. We'll find a little forward fold. So how I'd like you to practice your forward fold is take your hands to the tops of your thighs and just kind of slowly shift down as you lower. So we'll hinge at the hips and lead with the chest. We hinge forward. And just pause here. So I'm bringing my gaze forward, but I'd like you to round and relax as much as you'd like. So you can even tuck the chin in towards the chest if you'd like. And just find those breaths in and out. Just follow that breath. And we'll slowly start to come out the same way we came in. So we'll slowly just trace the hands back up the thighs. If you need a second just to bring the knees in, that's okay. And you can even kind of step them a little wide to make space for baby. And again, you can find a little bit of movement that feels good for you. And we'll start into our 6 movements of the spine. So the spine moves in 6 directions. We'll start with 2 of them and we'll do our twist from here. So I'm going to bring the soles of my feet back together. Make sure I'm on the edge of my blanket here, those sits bones to the edge of my blanket. So I'm not going to slip off. And then we'll bring both hands over towards the left knee. And we'll start to just show our heart over towards this left side. And eventually, maybe you'd like to start to look over that left shoulder, and maybe you'd like to bring your left fingertips behind you. And that tented fingers of this hand, and you can always kind of bend the knuckles here into the fingers so that you can get a little bit more room. We'll slowly start to ease our way forward. Head and neck is going to come all the way last. So slowly make your way forward. Both hands over here towards that right knee. Start to shine that heart over towards that right knee to begin. And eventually start to bring yourself over, looking over towards that right shoulder. Again, those tented fingers here. And slowly we'll start to ease our way back forward, nice and slow. You can add a little forward fold here if you'd like, just to find a little neutral position. And then slowly make your way back up. Let's extend both fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then we'll exhale, reach over towards the right side. We're going to do these kind of slow. So we'll exhale, reach over. We're going to engage the belly, use the legs and feet and everything for support. So ground down. We'll inhale, we'll lift up. We'll exhale left side. So we'll find, so I'm going to shift that block over a little bit, make some right space here for me. On the inhale, we make our way up. So belly's strong as you lift up. Exhale right side. Inhale, come up nice and slow. Exhale, left side. We'll do each side one more time. This time we're going to spend a little bit more time on each side. So we'll exhale, reach over. Find that length here. So if this knee starts to lift up a little bit, that's okay. Just let it happen. You can try to ground it down, but it's not necessary. You're getting some stretch here anyway. So feeling that length. And again, we're focusing on that space from the bottom set of ribs to the hips. And if extending these fingertips up isn't comfortable for you anymore, you can always just bring them down. This is more about here than it is about lifting up. We're going to engage into the belly, kind of ground down. So you can kind of use that strength into your legs. Use those fingertips of your right hand to help you up. Belly strong as you lift up. We'll exhale left side. This will be the last side we do. So we find ourselves long. So again, if you need to shift, you can even kind of move it. Sometimes I have a tender right hip, so I have to kind of work with it. So sometimes it needs to wiggle. Slowly we'll start to get strong again, so start to ground down so that you can make your way all the way up. Belly strong as you make your way up. Let's bring the knees in and separate the feet just a second. Let's lengthen our legs. We've been in that position for a moment here, so we'll just extend the legs out long, maybe shake the knees. You can even kind of shift yourself from side to side, kind of wiggle around. And we can, and we'll do it. We'll practice the cat-cow positions in this position, but I'm also going to do it in hands and knees because I want you to feel that full mobility of the spine. So we'll make our way to the soles of the feet again together. And if you're kind of getting tired of this position, feel free to come into just cross legs. And we'll find the soles of our feet together, so exact same setup, so still on that blanket here. If you want to check in there and take a second just to make sure that you have a good position. And then hands to the tops of the thighs. Doesn't matter where the hands sit, just you'll determine where it is. And you can even kind of ease up a little bit if your hips are getting kind of tired. Mine are. So we'll find from here, just start to shine that light in the center of your chest up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, we'll start to draw the chest down towards the hips. And the inhale starts to bring that light back up towards the ceiling. The exhale starts to round. Just inhale up and we'll exhale round. And so this inhale, when you come up, you can really shine your heart forward. And this exhale, chest comes down towards the hips, so we get a lot of roundness here in the spine. And this inhale brings us up. Take your time, enjoy it. So I like to go really slow here and just really notice all those places that needs to be worked through. And we'll finish this one that we're working on. So we'll finish on an exhale. We'll finish on that rounding of the spine. And we'll come up nice and slow. We'll bring those, let's finish on a forward fold. That always feels so good after we do those cat-cow movements. We'll just trace those hands down our legs. We'll exhale our forward fold. And we'll slowly start to make our way up, nice and slow. And we'll find we're going to shift these blocks out of the way. Pardon me, Abner. And then we'll find our blanket underneath of our knees. And we'll find our hands and knees position. So just because we've kind of had our knees a little bit wider, I'm going to make sure you have your knees right at hip width apart. Pardon me, excuse me. And then we'll find those wrists underneath of our shoulders and our knees right out of the hips. So they're right in alignment here. And then we'll do that same thing that we did in that seated position. We'll start to shine that light forward in the center of our chest. And on the exhale, chest comes towards the hips. We'll start to round. In the inhale, we start to come back up. In the exhale, we start to round. So just continuing your pace, your breath, make adjustments as needed, pause, take your time. We've done a few of these already, so take that time just to make this work for you so you can really exaggerate these movements, really tuck the chin in towards the chest if you'd like. On this inhale, we bring ourselves forward, And the exhale, we round. So take your time, really enjoy it. Let's do this one more. So this will be our last one. We'll finish on the exhale on the round. And then coming back to that nice neutral position, so back to our table. And you can widen the knees as much as you need to. We'll slowly start to inch our way down to a child's pose. So I'm going to widen the knees quite a bit and then reach the fingertips forward and the forehead comes down to your mat. So maybe you're thinking, Mandy, I can't quite get my heels or my hips down right onto my heels. So don't widen your knees if that's the case. Then we'll find from here, same pose, but just if you're up a little bit higher, that's okay. Forehead still rests down, fingertips still reach forward. So either of these variations are perfect. And you might just find this one feels more comfortable. Maybe just the weight of the body is just too much. I've had some ladies tell me they can't breathe whenever they're down here. So if you feel better to be up here with the hips a little higher, you're getting all the benefits. You're getting that length in your spine. You won't get nearly the hips, but that's okay. It just depends on how far back you want to take it. So you could just take yourself a little bit further back and maybe you are getting that really good stretch in your hips. And you can also, just like we do in that child's pose, where we kind of sway the hips gently from side to side in the pose with our forehead down, you can do the same thing here. So just find what feels good for you here. And we'll add just a couple more breaths in this child's pose. So wherever you are, settle in, get heavy, get relaxed, forehead rests down. Then slowly start to inch your way up. So you can start to bring your hands up closer towards you. We'll start to just sit up into a seated position, and that can be kneeling with me if you'd like. And those, again, so those are our 6 movements of the spine. So just to kind of go through them with you once more, and you can do these in all kinds of different positions, but we started first with that twist from side to side. Then we did those right to left, and then we did the cat cows. So thank you very much for joining me today. So again, this one you can add onto other videos if you'd like. You can just do this one all on its own. This is a really good practice to do at the start of your day or the end of your day. And you can do it just about anywhere. So you can do this sitting in your bed if you'd like. You don't even have to do it out of your bed. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.